welcome back to my fireside. Today's episode is going to be on the TV show Vikings. Now, this is not meant to be as me bashing the various historical inaccuracies of the show. Other people have done that to much better degrees than I have. Today, what I just want to talk about is how the show compares the characters in the show as to how they really were, as far as we know, judging by contemporary evidence, as to who they were as historical figures. For many of the characters on the show are actual real historical figures. So, warning, spoilers ahead. If you haven't got up to season 6, there may be a few spoilers ahead for you. So, the first character we're going to talk about is one of the main characters, and she is the one who is most likely a myth. So, the Shield Maiden Lagertha, who is not actually mentioned even in Ragnar Lothbrok's sagas. She is most likely not a real person, unlike most other characters of the show. But for some reason the show decided it would be better to put her in the show as opposed to other characters and other wives of Ragnar Lothbrok. So, she was considered a later addition, and she was romantically involved with Ragnar Lothbrok, but she is not recorded to have given him any children. Other wives of Ragnar Lothbrok would give him sons, and maybe daughters, we are not so sure. The second character I want to talk about has got a lot of revision on him, and he is probably one of the most well-known Scandinavian rulers of all time, Harald Finehair, or Fairhair, as it depends on your translation. Harald Finehair has had a lot of revision on him from the show. Now, in the show, he has said that he wishes to conquer all of Norway so that he may win the hand of a beautiful princess. This much historically is true. However, unlike in the show, he conquers most of Norway, mostly by conquest, and not by a rigged election as is seen in the show. Also, his name, Fairhair or Finehair. Now, when he said he would set out and conquer all of Norway, he also had another vow, that he would not wash or comb his hair until the deed had been done. Only finally, when he had conquered Norway and become king, and had taken the princess's hand in marriage, only then did he have his hair done. And it was at the wedding reception that many of his guests remarked that he had very fine or fair hair. That is how he got his name. And unlike in the show, he is not killed by an Eastern Rus invasion. Instead, he will be killed by another well-known Viking, his own son, Eric Bloodaxe. Moving on from Harald Finehair, we get to his brother, Halfdan the Black. Now, in reality, Halfdan the Black is actually his father, not his brother. And unfortunately, he is only known in later kings' sagas, so it has become he has become more of a legendary figure. We never know fact from fiction, although the respected author Snorri Sturluson, a well-known Norse poet and saga teller, does reference him. However, we will never know fact from fiction. Halfdan the Black, his nickname comes apparently from his dark hair. He is also might be potentially the grandfather to another well-known Viking, Halfdan the Mild. Sounds like a drinks order, but there you go. The next character on the show is a very new addition, and most of what I'm about to say is mostly speculation on the character. Now, the character we know is called Eric, and he has told us that he is an outlaw, and he has red hair. These three things do suggest to me that this is the show's take on Eric the Red, the famous Viking outlaw. However, if they do confirm him to be Eric the Red, they're off the mark. For one thing, Eric was a boy when he was exiled from Norway, along with his father, over to Iceland, and he never returned home. Instead, he bounced around the Norwegian Sea and the Viking settlements with a bit of a problem with quarrelling and fighting, earning him the nickname Eric the Red. So we don't know if he truly is Eric the Red, or it might just be the show sort of taking an archetype of a previous Viking warrior just to give the show some interest, but we'll never know. Next character I want to talk about is one of my favourites, Floki. Now, in the show, it is revealed that he discovers Iceland, And this is indeed true. There was indeed a Viking called Floki who did indeed discover Iceland, who was going on the tails of previous explorers. The way he did this was by releasing ravens into the air, earning him the nickname Raven Floki. The final character I wish to talk about is Rollo. Now, the show seems to have taken quite a lot of historic revisionism on this particular character, as he has probably, next to Harold Finehair, the most well-known Viking warrior to ever live. First of all, his Scandinavian name is actually Hrolf, and his nickname is actually Hrolf the Walker, because he was said to be so big a horse could not carry him. It was the 9th century. They hadn't really got big horses yet, not one that could carry a full man in mail yet. So Rollo was in fact a chieftain who did in fact raid Francia, and was one of the first few Viking chiefs to receive a Danegeld from the Frankish king, also that he would go and pillage elsewhere. Of course, Rollo took the money, went off pillaging, and gained himself fame and fortune, and then came back later to Francia for more. This time, however, the king decided not to fight him or pay him, but instead offer him land. So Rollo indeed took it, and it just so happened that this piece of land did also happen to cover a number of the river waterways that many Viking warriors had used as highways to reap and plunder. So the king of Francia had basically thought, let's stop one Viking with another Viking. So Rollo became a count. Unlike in the show, no, he did not marry the king's daughter. No, he didn't kill his own men. In fact, historically, when he actually took the land, he distributed it out amongst his own captains, because he intended to make something of this. Also, big thing in the show, no, he wasn't related to Ragnar Lothbrok at all. Wasn't his brother. No records are of him and Ragnar Lothbrok even being together. So I decided to make this episode a little short, just to keep it on those few characters. I know I started off with one character who actually is not real at all, but I thought I'd go through some of the main characters before we get to Ragnar Lothbrok. Now, him I'm going to do a whole episode on because he and his family are very, very complicated. There's a huge problem with this is what the sagas have done, this is what we know historically, and this is how the show's portrayed them. So we kind of have to look at his family from 3 different perspectives. So I'm going to do my best to put that together for the next episode. So I hope to see you next time at my fireplace. Goodbye.